Bonjour, bienvenue. Welcome to my video. I am totally stoked to make this video for you guys. Yesterday, I had a bit of an unplanned day. It was a beautiful day. Odie needed to get out and get some exercise. I need to get out and get some exercise. So I had seen a lot of beautiful artwork in Paris. Obviously museums, etc. But I also noticed that there was some really talented street art. And so yesterday, I decided to start going on a street art tour of Paris. And I'm going to tell you guys, this is going to be the first video of many on the subject because it was amazing. You know, we all tend to, when we visit Paris, we all want to stay in the first, second, third, fourth arrondissement, kind of the central tourist area. And that all makes sense, right? Because there's so many good things to see here and so much, well, frankly, old stuff. And so I love street art. I've always been fascinated by street art. So yesterday I went to 2 arrondissements just for the sole purpose of looking at street art and also to see the arrondissements, but mainly to see street art. So I went to the 20th arrondissement and the 13th arrondissement. So here's my insider tip. If you have more than a week in Paris or you have more than a few days and you don't want to just see the Louvre and see priceless old works of art and you want to feel Paris, you need to get out of the first, second, third, fourth arrondissement. You need to go see the city, maybe even out of the 7th, out of Le Havre, out of all those areas, right? I mean, they're all beautiful, don't get me wrong, but if you want to feel the city, if you want to feel the people, get out of there. So I'm going to start in the 20th, and the 20th and the 13th are actually kind of far apart. The reason I picked them was they were both middle-class working areas of Paris. So right now I'm playing you a video. This is just kind of walking down one of the average streets in the 20th arrondissement. So you can get a feel when you get out of the old sections of the city where there's big, beautiful buildings. This is kind of what it looks like, right? I mean, this is what a typical Paris street outside of the historic areas is going to look like. So that kind of gives you a feel for it. And now I want to kind of show you some of the art and talk through the art. So I'm showing you street art right now from the 20th arrondissement. And what you'll notice, right, first of all, the 20th arrondissement, what I noticed was that there were a lot of Asian cafes, so I just assume, I did not look this up, but I assume that there maybe is a strong Asian influence in that area of town, and it probably attracts a lot of Asian immigrants. I noticed some elements of that in the art. You know, street art's interesting to me, and I'm kind of going to let these cycle through while we talk about it. And we'll talk about this more in the next section. But street art should reflect the culture of the area it's in, right? I mean, good street art. What's the line between street art and graffiti? I don't know. I think the people that live there have to decide that, right? And I'm going to repeat this several times, but just because it's not beautiful to me doesn't mean it's not beautiful to somebody. It was probably beautiful to the person that created it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have created it, right? I think my videos are good. I'm sure other people think they're trash. Don't really care, okay? I create them for me and for my family and for people who are interested in seeing them. So I noticed that as you walked through the 20th, there was a strong Asian influence in the artwork. Well, I say strong. There was elements of it. Whether that was anime, whether that was certain Asian type figures with cats, etc. And the cool thing about the 20th arrondissement and why I would go there is, one, the art is not nearly as prevalent as the 13th. And we're about to talk about the 13th because the 13th blew my mind. But it gives you the feel for Parisian neighborhood, and there's Parc Belleville, which is a smaller park, but it's worth seeing. It's kind of nice. You get some nice views of the city from there. It's uphill. And you know, it kind of culminated to me, and this is what I'm showing you, is the last piece I'm going to show you from the 20th is in Parc Belleville, or right on the edge of Parc Belleville. It's the wall to Parc Belleville, in the Belleville area of Paris. And I thought this piece was really interesting. I was absolutely fascinated by it. In fact, I shot a video of it, and I'm just going to let you watch it for a second, because I don't know what you see. What I kind of saw was an interesting integration of Paris culture with, you know, some immigrant influence and kind of a desire to integrate those two things, which is a theme of French society. And we're going to talk about that a lot in the 13th arrondissement and the art from the 13th arrondissement. But I thought this piece was really, really cool. I thought its center on a major wall to the park was kind of a cool placement for it. I thought it captured a certain spirit of the neighborhood. And it kind of felt, when I looked at the people that were hanging out at the park, like maybe that piece belonged there, right? I think it's interesting that these pieces don't get graffitied over, right? I mean, they're at eye level and they're not getting graffitied over. So that says something, right, about how people view it. Let's move on to the artwork of the 13th Arrondissement. The 13th Arrondissement was amazing in terms of street art. And I don't even know you call it street art. It's like walking out of a train and walking into a museum that's larger than life. There were paintings on buildings all over. Building after building had paintings on them. So, you look at the art and you're like, oh my goodness, this is just amazing. And it really was amazing. I'm showing you some of my favorites. I think, first of all, as you walk through the 13th Arrondissement, it's everywhere. I mean, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to find it. Like in the 20th, I kind of had to lurk to find it. But in the 13th, it's literally, you get off the train and you're overwhelmed by it because it's on buildings, just huge. And I could stop and look at any of the pieces I'm showing you for minutes, and probably longer than minutes, honestly. And again, I thought it was interesting because I thought some of the pieces were really reflective of the neighborhood. And I'm kind of showing you my favorites. I particularly love some of the ones that were, there's a woman who may or may not be wearing a hijab. That was kind of a theme in two of them. And I thought that was really beautiful, right? I mean, some of you may remember that there was some controversy in France, I don't know, a decade ago, centered around that. The French require somebody moving here to sign a contract of integration. And so I think that was a sticking point in French culture. And to me, I could be completely misinterpreting the artist's intent, but I found it to be kind of a commentary on that, and an interesting commentary at that, because to me, can't really tell whether it is or not. It could be an old lady in a scarf. Don't know. Don't know. It also kind of said, hey, we're here. The other pieces of interest, and I forgot the American painter who painted it, you can Google it, but is the French motto, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité. But it was actually painted by a fairly famous American artist. And so I thought that piece was beautiful. Frankly, I thought the 20th Arrondissement as a whole was beautiful. I'm going to play you guys some video just under the rail station and just around so you can see it. I thought the 13th was amazing because of all the art. Again, kind of a very typical Paris working class neighborhood, right? It's not fancy. It's not the old historic buildings and all the pretty stuff we're used to associating with Paris. It was a very, this is where you would find a Target. This is where you would find a Home Depot and an Office Depot. I think in the end, probably my favorites were the ones I'm showing you now, the child looking out into the rainbow or whatever that is. I looked at that as a child's hope. That's what that said to me, right? I also loved the man taking the photograph as I was standing there, taking his photograph, taking my photograph, right? I thought that was a really cool picture and kind of a commentary, right? So that was my impression overall. I love the 20th. I thought I love the 13th. I thought the art was absolutely spectacular. So I would highly recommend taking, a couple of hours to go see it. It won't even take you a couple of hours really if you don't want it to. You can ride the train fairly easily. I believe it was on the first Metro line. Can't even remember. I connected through a couple trains, but it was easy to get to. I was there in 15, 20 minutes. I walked around. I probably could have had lunch, but anyway, as you can see, the art is spectacular and it's gigantic and you can stare at something for a long time. So I love the street art. I love what it says about the community. And I will tell you that walking around, again, the art reflected the community. which is the important part. And so I thought it was spectacular. I recommend you go. I'm going to do more on street art in Paris. I'm going to do not just art like painting, but I'm going to do some on all the bands, all the music, all the dancing, all of that, because it's all over and it's constant and it's what makes Paris, Paris, or at least for me, right? So thank you for watching my video. I sincerely appreciate it. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. I don't know why I care about YouTube analytics, but I do, and your subscription would mean a lot. So thank you for watching. Bonne journée.